Hello YouTube. Hello YouTube fans. It's your boy Brad here with another video. Today we're going to be looking at a LED photography video photography light. I decided to break down and get one. If you know me, it's going to be on the very inexpensive side. I wanted a light that actually did had a wide bicolor array in it, and that's going to cost a little bit more money, but I found basically the cheapest one on the market, which is not easy to find. You're not going to find this on Amazon, but I did find it at Walmart, online Walmart. But surprise, surprise, you still don't usually get exactly what you wanted. There's not really hardly any reviews on this light, but maybe one. And there's not any on this particular one. This is the Andoer CY-100W COB Studio LED light. That one, there's no reviews on it, and I think I know why. Let me preface this by saying I think the issue is that they don't even sell this. Even though I ordered this, I got the 100-watt model because I don't believe there is a 200-watt model in the United States. I think it's limited to Europe and other places that their voltage is, what is it, 250 watts or whatever they use as their voltage there. Not here. So let me not do an unboxing, but let me show you what the box is, kind of how it came. It came in this unmarked cardboard box here. Took a long time, well, took a little bit longer than it should have, which was priority mail. Throw that out the way with these two pieces of foam, one on the front and one on the back end. Came with a power brick here. Kind of show you that this is a AC DC switching 16 volt 100 watt power brick here, and with the cord to plug it up to the wall, and this end plugs into the back of the light. And it also came with a remote control, which I really do like the remote control in the way that they designed it and the function buttons on it. I think it's really cool. No batteries, takes 2 AAA batteries, and there's the remote. And it's not, see, it's got the little funny little lens thing on the front of it, so I'll show you that. And down to the nitty gritty, here is the light itself. On the back, as you see, you got a little handle. It is pretty light. It's really pretty light. On the back here, you have a display. I'll show you that in a moment. The handle itself, not the best construction. Again, this was $100. I only paid $100 for this. So this is not by any means a high-end light, but I think you'll be maybe pleasantly surprised that, you know, I think it gets the job done. You have your mount knob there to put it on your stand. That screws all the way out, just to say. I wish they had to put a stop on it so it only screwed out so far, that way you don't lose it. You got your little grip arm thing here and your little tightening thing here. Kind of let you hear that. It moves freely, goes back forward, and basically practically all the way back. You have your little tightening knob here that actually pulls out so you can adjust it, because when you try to swing it around, let me see if I can go this way, see, it hits, so, and then you get it loose and so you can kind of, you know, pull it out and tighten. Looks like there's a button there, but that's just the end of the thing. It just kind of pulls out like that. That works fairly just fine. I think it's just fine. So on the side here. Now here's the plus on the reason I kind of went with this one. There are some that's maybe a little bit more inexpensive. That this one will work on the Sony, what are those batteries? The Sony NP 970 and 960 batteries. So you push on the door and there's a compartment here, and you stick a big battery in this side, and you push on the door and you stick a big battery in this side. They're somewhere between 6,000 to 18,000 milliamp batteries. I have those on order. They should be here this weekend, and I would do a review with this, with the battery output, to with the output to kind of let you see what that looks like with the batteries in it. I like the doors. You just push them and they click down. Let me plug it up here real quick and show you the display on the back. Before I plug it up though, let me show you that this has a Bowens mount. This is a reflector from my Godox SK300 lights. So I want to show you this, is that this does not come with a reflector. They should, add another $10 and send you one that fits. It will go in, but it will not lock. There's a little button here on the front of it. Oh, and there's a cover that goes over this light thing here also. I didn't grab that when I was in the back. It was a little cover so you can put on there to protect the COB light. But this does, it'll go in, let me see here, and it'll turn about halfway. It's on there, but it's not locked in place. I did order the Andoer reflector, and it should be in Friday also, and I will show you something about this Bowens mount that I realized, but I won't get into that now. So I'm going to pop that back off, and now let's go ahead and hook up and show you the display on the back here. Okay guys, we have it all plugged up here. I'm going to pop the power on. And first, I'm going to be really quiet so you can hear the fan. Turn it off again. So there's the fan motor running. Let's take a peek into the display here. Okay, I'll try to hold that steady. Let's take a look at the display here. You have a battery indicator. Now the switch is a two-way switch. You see it says adapter if you got it plugged in, then you switch it to the bottom if you're running on battery. So switch it to the top. Right now you see the power output levels. And it'll go all the way down to 1, and you hit 0 and she's off, and you hit 1 and it's on. And as you keep turning the knob here, it's get brighter, all the way up to 100%. I think I'm drowning out. There we go. Then if you push the button in, it switches down to the Kelvin, and now we can change the Kelvin. It goes from 6,000, and you can turn it all the way down to 3,000. So by 100 Kelvin increments, it's the way that works. I'm sorry, kind of got that out of your 100 Kelvin increments. So there's that. Now I'm going to show you the power consumption. Let's take a look at the power consumption and see, okay, is it actually 100 watts, since that's what it says on the side of the unit. Okay guys, I kind of got this thing set up now to look at how many watts does this light actually pull. Not the output, but this is the input. So here it is at its 0, and so some of this is going to be blown out because I had to lock the camera's exposure down so you can see the watt meter. So go to 1, and we're at right at 8 watts. So 1% of light, 8 watts. And as I climb, and I'm just going to climb and go to, let's go to 20, and we're at 22 watts. And let's go to, let's say 50. Well, let's stop at 40. And it's kind of riding right along there. 40% light, 40 watts. Right about 40 watts. Let's go to 60. We're going to make a little jump here. 60% light, 57.3 watts. Let's go to 80. And 80% light, 80 watts. And let's go all the way to 100. And bam, right at 100 watts. And keeping in mind that's the COB light, and you have a fan in here that's running also, that's pulling, you know, maybe a couple watts, you know, very small amount. So there it is, all the way up. I'm gonna change something here. I'm gonna stay at 100 watts, and we're at 6,000 Kelvin, and I'm gonna move that down. See if that makes a difference. So just a slight drop on wattage, and let's hit it right in between, kind of. So let's go to say 4200. And the reason I did that, I'll show you in a second. So there's the wattage draw. So right at 100 watt, that's what the block is rated for. The power supply is 100 watts, and that's what she pulls. Now let's look at the COB light on the other side of this. Alright guys, let's just look at the COB. I should have showed you this earlier when I was at the table. But let's look at this COB LED light that's inside here. You see the cooling vents for the fan where the air is blown, and you see you have a yellow and a yellow and an orange and an orange, and these are when the light is on, and say you are in the cooler light, the two yellow ones are actually lit. And if you're looking for a cooler color, you're around, you know, the 3000 Kelvin, you got the two orange ones that are lit. And when you're in between that, as LED lights work, it's a mixture of those lights. So just want to show you this COB inside here real quick so you can kind of see what that looks like. Now let's do, I'm going to set up my light meter, and we're going to look at a little bit at the output of this COB light by using my photography light meter. Okay guys, got my Sekonic light meter set up. I'll be using the remote here that came with the unit here to change the lighting output. And I'll hit you with the remote right after I do this, because I did not go over the remote and the buttons on it. But we're set up, and I'm going to drill down so you can see the light meter. It's going to be quite blown out as I move up. Right now, the output is of the COB light is at 10%, and we're going to start there. So 10%, I have my light meter set at ISO 400, 60th of a second, and if I push the button, our f-stop is 1.6. 1.6. Now if I go to 20%, and I'm going to push the button and we see what we get. I'm exactly 6 feet away from the COB light, just to mention, and it just has the reflector on it. We're at 2.0, f2.0. If I go to 50%, and we'll take a measurement there, we're at f-stop 2.8. Again, this is at ISO 400. And if we go to 100%, we're at f-stop 3.6. So that's a pretty wide aperture. And a pretty decently low ISO. Like I said, I'm only at 400. You know, our cameras and stuff these days can handle quite a bit more, and that's really a bright light. That's quite bright. So just wanted to kind of show you the output differences there. Let's do something a little different here. I'm going to change the color 3000 Kelvin. Because remember, we have the two different outputs. I mean, the two different, the divided COB light, which has two strips for your warm and two strips for your cold, or your 3000 Kelvin and your 6000 Kelvin. And I want to see if that makes a difference. Now I'm going to go to, on the remote, it has a button that says, one says warm, one says white. And this is a mixer. This is about 4500 Kelvin. And that's at F4, because now you got two of those lights going, two parts of the system going at the same time. So we got a little bit higher reading there. Now if I go to cool, and we're still at 100%, we get 4.5. So that's the cool side. So that's kind of showing the difference in the output of the light, and man, that's really bright. The different outputs of the light at the different Kelvin settings. So now let's look at the color of the different Kelvin settings and see how, and try to see how accurate that is. Give me a moment to get set up. Okay guys, I'm all set up here. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to be using my Nikon D500, and I'm going to set it into the manual Kelvin setting, and I'm going to show you the difference or whether it matches or not. I tried this test yesterday, and this is the best way, that only way I can think of, is to see how accurate the Kelvin setting in the Andoer light is when you go between 3000 and 6000. I have my camera here set up and lock down the Kelvin so it does not change, and so hopefully this will all work. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go to warm here, and now we're at 3000 Kelvin. Alright, turn my camera on here and go, let's see, mode. We're going to go to manual, excuse me, white balance. I already have it set to the Kelvin thing, and I'm going to set my camera to the closest I can to the Kelvin of the light over here and take a quick image. So right now, wind it down to 3000, 2940. Let's go with 3030. That's the closest I can get. And I'm going to take a picture. Okay. There's a picture of the background. So here it should show it. You know, it's going to gray because I'm matching it in my camera with what it says it's doing. So I should go gray here. Now, if I go 5000, just kind of show you here white balance. If I'm thinking of this right, I'm gonna go 5000. What we would call maybe daylight. On my camera here, let's go 5560, and I'm going to take a picture. And we see how orange that is now, which it should be, because my camera is set to 5500 Kelvin, and the light is set to 3000, and the camera says yes, that's really orange. Okay, so I'm gonna go back again. This is white. I push the button, and this is white. This is 4500 Kelvin. And just to mention, I have the output of the light set to 50%. So it's not so bright. So I'm going to bring this to 4500. We'll take another picture. And we kind of get that same color because I'm matching the color. I'm going to go back to the previous, which is 3300 Kelvin. You see that at the bottom of the screen. And right here you see it's at 4550. Now we're going to go ahead and go all the way up to cool, which would be 6000 Kelvin. My camera will do 6250. So my D500 would only do 6250. And we kind of get that same look. So here's what I've noticed. In the end, that the output, the Kelvin settings on this very cheap COB light is pretty accurate. It's not much off by using my D500 as a standard. To me, it is pretty accurate. So I wanted to show you that real quick. Let me go into the remote here and show you that while I have this up on the screen. I like the remote. Great remote. It's supposed to be 2.4. You got your power button. This auto button and this color button does not do anything. It's for a different light. But then what I really like is you have some quick settings down here on your light output. Try not to block that. You got your 20%. If I point it that way, 20%, 50%, 100%, and that's your light output. And then you have these three buttons, which is really cool. This takes you down to 3000 Kelvin. White brings you to 4500. Cool takes you all the way up to 6000. You have a night light. This, you know, we have 20% here. If you hit this, that takes you to 10%. And they call it night light mode. I'm going to go back to 50%, put some more light. Well, let's try that. And then you have these here where you can operate in between. If you are... okay, guys, I was wondering what happened. I turned the light all the way down. The percentage all the way down. and the light went off. I thought something had broke. But what I did, I pushed it all the way down. It went down to 0%. So here, this is in 10% increments on the brightness. And you keep going. And there's no screen on here, which is kind of a little of a drawback. But again, it's only a $100 light. And so you could do that. And then the color jumps at 100 Kelvin increments. And you just keep clicking. Like, so you don't know where you're at because there's no screen on here talking to the thing. But you get to a point and you go, okay, well, that's full. That's that. I'm looking at the back of the light, 3000. And if you hold it down, it doesn't do anything. You have to click it. So, and you can click it. And maybe if you have it in your mind, you'll know where it is. So, guys, there it is. That was quick. Well, it wasn't quick, but that was dirty. Just trying to show you, trying to test this light because there's nothing out there and nobody's really kind of showing about this particular very, very cheap light. So I just wanted to show you some stuff about it. I'll be back again with the hood situation. That'll be a short video, and with the light, with the battery operated, with the Sony batteries. So, hey, thank you guys. Hope this helps somebody. Y'all have a blessed day.